At the beginning of the story, we are introduced to the most dangerous crime syndicate in all of Asia, an organization so powerful that even elite SWAT teams have failed to bring it down. The ruthless leader of this empire is Kevin, a cold-blooded criminal who rules his territory with an iron fist. Anyone who dares to bargain with Kevin or challenge his authority ultimately pays with their life. However, despite being so powerful, Kevin is about to face a problem of his own when two completely different groups of professional thieves set their eyes on one of his most valuable diamonds. A clever middleman named Park secretly brings together two rival criminal crews, one Korean and one Chinese, for this impossible heist. Leading the Korean team is the slim but highly intelligent Ron, who commands a crew of 4 members, including 2 women and 1 man. Among them, the most dangerous is the stunningly beautiful Sophie, a master thief who uses her beauty as her greatest weapon. Alongside her is Mia, who often disguises herself as Sophie's mother to fool unsuspecting victims. Their first target is a museum curator. Mia approaches him pretending to be Sophie's loving future mother-in-law, while Sophie has already wrapped the poor man around her finger with her charm. Mia convinces him that Sophie is genuinely interested in marrying him. While the curator remains completely distracted, another team member, Eric, the group's gadget and equipment specialist, waits on the rooftop, monitoring everything. Without wasting a second, Sophie begins her real mission. She is not only breathtakingly beautiful, but also possesses the agility of an Olympic gymnast. Using advanced climbing wires and precision equipment, she slips through the building's air vents and silently reaches the museum vault. Within moments, she steals an ancient artifact and expertly replaces it with a cheap counterfeit from the black market before anyone notices the switch. Meanwhile, the Chinese crew is led by the calm and calculating John, a man who never loses his composure no matter how dangerous the situation becomes. His team originally consisted of only 3 members, but for this special operation, he recruits Julie, an elite safecracker capable of opening virtually any vault within minutes. Another important member of John's crew is Sam, a Korean orphan whom John had practically raised like his own shadow over the years. Park eventually gathers both gangs inside a traditional tea house, where they meet under rather unusual circumstances. Without wasting time, Park reveals the true objective of the mission, a legendary diamond known as the Tear of the Sun, valued at an astonishing $50 million. The diamond is scheduled to arrive at a luxury casino in Macau, carried personally by Kevin's mistress, Tiffany. At first, both gangs hesitate. Robbing anyone connected to Kevin is practically the same as signing their own death warrant. But the moment Park reveals that the diamond can easily be sold for $20 million, their fear instantly turns into excitement. After all, no matter how terrifying gangsters may be, a desperate thief is often even more dangerous. To earn everyone's trust, Park opens a special notebook containing the names of Asia's most powerful underground buyers. This means that if necessary, the stolen diamond could even be sold right back to Kevin himself. During the meeting, Park suddenly notices that Ron has brought Sarah along with him. The moment he sees her, the expression on his face changes completely. The pain and betrayal reflected in Sarah's eyes make it obvious that Park had once hurt her deeply. Park then explains where all this valuable information came from. The leak came from none other than Tiffany's own half-sister, who wanted revenge against her sibling. She also reveals the biggest challenge of the mission. Breaking into the casino vault is virtually impossible. The diamond will be locked inside 2 separate safes located inside Tiffany's luxurious suite on the 30th floor. Even worse, the suite itself is protected by a magnetic locking system, connected directly to a medical device implanted inside Tiffany's heart. In other words, only Tiffany herself can unlock the room. In exchange for this priceless information, the informant asks for only one thing: the entire amount of cash stored inside the safes. As soon as the informant leaves, Mia opens an expensive bottle of liquor to celebrate the upcoming heist. While everyone enjoys their drinks, Julie quietly lights a cigarette and secretly plants a tiny listening device inside Park's lighter without anyone noticing. Little by little, the truth about Park and Sarah's painful past begins to unfold. 4 years earlier, the two of them had been one of the most famous thief duos in the business, while Ron was nothing more than a junior member responsible for handling the steel cables during operations. During one of their biggest gold robberies, Park escaped by sliding down a steel wire. But just as he was making his getaway, the cable suddenly snapped. Somehow, Park survived the fall, and more importantly, he escaped with all the stolen gold. Sarah and Ron were left behind with absolutely nothing. Sarah had only recently been released on parole and had joined this new mission because Ron convinced her that Park himself had arranged everything. Later that very night, Sarah confronts Park face to face. Instead of apologizing, Park calmly insists that his conscience is perfectly clear and that the stolen gold rightfully belonged to him. Sarah is devastated. To her, their relationship should have meant something more than money, but Park coldly dismisses every word she says. With years of unresolved bitterness between them, the two once again part ways. However, Sarah had not come merely to relive old memories. As soon as she returns to her room, Ron quietly follows her inside. He hands her something he had secretly stolen from Park, a complete list of all Park's underground buyers. Thrilled by this discovery, Ron immediately contacts his associates back in Korea and orders them to create a perfect replica of the Tear of the Sun diamond. Neither of them realizes that Sophie has overheard their entire conversation. While casually enjoying some stolen liquor outside, she had quietly been spying on everything. After this small victory, another dangerous scheme begins forming inside Ron's mind. Once again, he plans to betray Park. The shocking truth is finally revealed. Years ago, the steel cable that had snapped during the gold robbery wasn't an accident at all. It was Ron himself who had secretly cut the wire, driven partly by greed for the money, and partly because deep inside, he had always been jealous of Park. The very next day, both criminal gangs arrived in Macau and immediately got to work. John and Mia disguised themselves as a wealthy Japanese couple and openly began losing huge amounts of money at the casino tables to avoid attracting suspicion. Meanwhile, John's young partner Sam quietly studied the casino's entire layout while carefully observing every move made by the security guards. At the same time, Ron kept a close eye on Tiffany, who was constantly protected by 2 bodyguards. One of them never left her side, while the other remained stationed outside her luxurious hotel suite at all times. Sophie and Eric were assigned a critical task, stealing the casino manager's access card. Sophie initially tried using her beauty to seduce the manager, but things didn't go according to plan. Unfortunately for her, the manager wasn't interested in women at all. His preferences were completely different, leaving Eric with no choice but to step in and complete the mission himself. To take control of the surveillance room, the team first needed to smuggle weapons inside the casino. Sam solved the problem by bribing an elderly food delivery worker, convincing him to hide a handgun inside a food trolley and deliver it directly into the casino without raising any suspicion. Meanwhile, the responsibility of cracking the 2 safes inside Tiffany's suite was given to Sarah and Julie. Julie possessed an extraordinary talent. She could unlock almost any safe using nothing more than the sensitivity of her fingertips without relying on traditional tools. However, Julie was hiding a secret from everyone. She wasn't just a professional safecracker. She was actually an undercover police officer. The Hong Kong police had been hunting Kevin for years, yet not a single officer had ever managed to see his real face. As the leader of his crew, John couldn't shake off an uneasy feeling. Stealing Kevin's diamond only to sell it back to Kevin himself sounded like a suicide mission. His mind drifted back to an old memory when he and his former partner had once tried selling stolen goods to Kevin. The moment his partner showed even the slightest hesitation, Kevin executed him on the spot without mercy. This time, John wasn't trying to sell ordinary stolen property. He was planning to sell Kevin his own diamond. He understood better than anyone how deadly the consequences could be. That was precisely why John's real objective was never the diamond itself. His true target was Tiffany's fortune. To distract the casino's security team, Eric was assigned to climb onto the rooftop using specialized cables. At the same time, Park intentionally started a fake argument with Ron inside the casino to create another diversion. But within moments, the staged fight turned completely real. During the confrontation, Park openly admitted that he had suspected for years that Ron was the one who had deliberately cut his cable during the gold robbery years ago. Furious and shaken, Ron stormed out of the casino and headed straight to the pier, where he arranged a boat to escape the following day. Meanwhile, Sarah finally received the fake diamond that had been secretly sent from Korea. With every preparation complete, both gangs launched their operation. As Sophie was leaving John and Mia's hotel suite, she unexpectedly discovered something she had never imagined. John and Mia were secretly involved in a romantic relationship. The heist officially began. According to the plan, the moment the surveillance room was taken over, they would have only 10 minutes to complete the robbery. Since Park had already been blacklisted by the casino, he couldn't enter the building himself. His role was to remain outside and coordinate the entire operation. The moment Leo and Sam entered the surveillance room at gunpoint, Sarah and Julie rushed directly toward Tiffany's suite. Leo immediately shut down the surveillance room's power. At exactly the same time, the elderly food delivery worker slowly made his way toward the casino vault. Within minutes, the vault's electricity also went offline. Meanwhile, Sophie had already cut through the glass wall of Tiffany's suite and slipped inside unnoticed. She quietly unlocked the door from the inside, allowing Sarah and Julie to enter. However, by then, the vault's backup power system had already activated. When the vault manager realized that no one in the surveillance room was responding and every communication signal had mysteriously disappeared, he immediately followed protocol and placed the entire vault under complete lockdown. No one would be allowed to enter or leave until the police arrived. Inside Tiffany's suite, Sarah struggled to break open one safe using a powerful drill, while Julie calmly worked on the second safe using only the remarkable sensitivity of her fingers. But before either of them could finish their work, John had already completed a completely different robbery inside one of the VIP rooms. Then came a shocking twist that nobody had anticipated. When the safe inside Tiffany's suite finally opened, the legendary Tear of the Sun diamond wasn't there. Every single thief had been outplayed. And it wasn't just them. Even the police officers who had been secretly monitoring Park's car had fallen directly into the same trap. At that exact moment, the mysterious informant, Tiffany's half-sister, delivered a small package to the officers. Inside the package was the tiny listening device Julie had secretly planted inside Park's lighter. The police immediately rushed toward Park's vehicle, convinced they had finally caught him. But when they arrived, the car was completely empty. Because while everyone had been watching the parking lot, Park was already sitting inside the casino vault itself, calmly cracking open its safe. The truth was finally revealed. The Tear of the Sun had never been inside Tiffany's suite. It had been hidden inside the heavily protected casino vault from the very beginning. Disguised as the elderly food delivery worker, Park quietly placed the priceless diamond inside a simple food bowl and walked out without attracting the slightest suspicion. Even after escaping the vault with the real diamond hidden inside a simple food bowl, Park left the rest of the team behind to deal with the consequences of the failed heist. Meanwhile, Sophie, disguised as one of the casino's servers, was stopped by security for questioning. Unfortunately, she couldn't speak Chinese, so she pretended to panic and deliberately wasted the guard's time. Eric, who had secretly fallen in love with Sophie, couldn't bear to watch her get caught. To save her, he suddenly stepped forward and confessed to the crime himself. "I stole it. I'm the thief. Arrest me." His sacrifice created enough chaos, but not enough to save everyone. Ron, Julie, and Sarah were quickly captured. At that moment, another shocking truth came to light. Julie wasn't a professional thief at all. She had been an undercover police officer from the very beginning. Amid all the confusion, only John and Mia managed to escape. But John refused to surrender so easily. He hijacked a passing car and fled with Mia. At first, Mia believed they had successfully gotten away. However, during the earlier shootout, John had already been hit by a bullet. Within minutes, he lost consciousness behind the wheel. The speeding car spun out of control, and Mia could do nothing to stop it. Moments later, it crashed violently, killing both of them instantly. Elsewhere, Sarah, Sam, and Ron were handcuffed and loaded into a police transport vehicle. But they weren't ready to give up. They suddenly fought back, trying to overpower the officers and force the vehicle to stop. Sarah attempted to unlock her handcuffs using one of her earrings, but just as she was about to succeed, the earring slipped from her fingers. The struggle inside the moving vehicle became so intense that the driver completely lost control. The police van crashed onto a half-constructed bridge. Fortunately, the concrete barriers prevented it from plunging directly into the river below. As the damaged vehicle hung dangerously over the edge, Ron and Sam escaped through the rear door, abandoning Sarah behind without hesitation. The police immediately chased after the two fugitives on foot. Then, disaster struck. The unstable vehicle finally gave way and plunged straight into the river, with Sarah still trapped inside. Just as she was about to drown, the same elderly delivery man suddenly appeared. It was Park. Still disguised as the old man, he rescued Sarah from the water. When she finally regained consciousness, she found herself inside a hotel room with a mysterious key placed in her hand. Later, Sarah reunited with Ron at their hideout. The moment she saw him, she slapped him across the face. Ron fired back, accusing her of secretly working with Park. But after seeing the pain in Sarah's eyes, his anger slowly faded. At this point, only 4 members of the gang remained alive: Sarah, Ron, Sophie, and Sam. Meanwhile, although Park had escaped, the police never stopped following him. In fact, they deliberately avoided arresting him because they wanted to use him as bait to reach Asia's most dangerous crime boss, Kevin himself. Park understood perfectly well that he was being watched. So when he called Kevin to arrange the diamond deal in Busan, he made absolutely no effort to hide his location. Determined to find the woman who had betrayed them, the remaining 4 thieves began searching for the mysterious informant. By renting a Rolls-Royce, they tracked down her trail and eventually located her house in Hong Kong. But the place was completely empty. After searching through her phone records, they discovered she had already traveled to Busan, so they followed her there and finally found her. Despite being a con artist herself, she remained fiercely loyal to her friends. No matter how much they threatened or pressured her, she refused to reveal anyone's whereabouts. Eventually, however, they discovered her only weakness: her beloved pet dog. To save its life, she was finally forced to tell them everything she knew. Meanwhile, the Hong Kong police joined forces with the Korean police and placed Park's apartment under heavy surveillance. They weren't interested in Park anymore. They were patiently waiting for Kevin to appear so they could capture him at the perfect moment. At the same time, the 4 remaining thieves, Sarah, Ron, Sophie, and Sam, devised a new plan. Their goal was simple: force Park to meet the informant. To get inside his building, they disguised themselves as elevator repair technicians. Ron stayed upstairs pretending to repair the elevator, while Sophie quietly slipped into Park's apartment to search for the diamond. As Sarah searched the apartment, she suddenly remembered something Park had once mentioned, that he liked renting 2 separate rooms. Trusting her instincts, she searched the second apartment as well. Her guess turned out to be absolutely correct. While searching the room, she overheard Park talking to the informant. The woman was deliberately keeping him distracted by making conversation. During that conversation, Park finally revealed the truth about what had happened years ago. After escaping through the sewers during the infamous gold robbery, he eventually made it back to his hideout. But the moment he arrived, he saw Ron and a heartbroken Sarah kissing each other. That single sight shattered him completely. At that exact moment, Sarah accidentally switched on a light. As her eyes adjusted to the room, she finally spotted the real diamond hidden there. Surprisingly, she didn't even touch it. Instead, she chose to leave the diamond exactly where it was, deciding she wanted nothing more to do with the endless betrayals and manipulations that had destroyed everyone's lives. As she turned to leave, Sophie suddenly appeared in front of her. In one swift movement, Sophie secretly stole the fake diamond from Sarah's pocket and climbed back into Park's apartment through the window. Meanwhile, Park learned from the informant that the remaining thieves were already inside the building, yet he showed no signs of panic. Instead, he calmly walked down to the ground floor. The moment he arrived, Kevin's men showed up. Without hesitation, Park led them back upstairs. During the confusion, Sophie quietly retrieved the real Tear of the Sun diamond hidden inside a lampshade and replaced it with the fake copy. But just as she was about to escape, Kevin's armed men entered the apartment. With nowhere else to run, Sophie hid inside a concealed space above the ceiling. Moments later, Kevin himself arrived. At the same time, the Korean police deployed their SWAT teams and completely surrounded the building. Then the biggest truth of the entire story was finally revealed. Years ago, Park's father had worked together with John to sell stolen goods to Kevin. That very night, a young Park had been hiding beneath a bed when he watched Kevin brutally murder his father right before his eyes. The entire diamond heist had never been about money. It had been a carefully planned act of revenge for his father's murder. And even after the entire truth was finally exposed, Kevin remained completely unaware that the deadliest part of Park's revenge was still about to begin. Kevin, however, remained as arrogant as ever. With complete confidence, he looked Park in the eye and coldly declared, "By tomorrow morning, you won't be alive." What Kevin didn't realize was that the SWAT team had already surrounded the entire building. The moment the officers attempted to storm the building, Kevin's men opened fire without hesitation. As bullets flew from every direction, Park saw an opportunity to escape through a nearby window. But Kevin spotted him immediately and ordered his hired assassins to hunt him down. A master of zipline escapes, Park leaped from one window and skillfully slid across to the neighboring building. One of the assassins tried to copy the same move, but he fell straight into one of Park's carefully prepared traps and was instantly electrocuted. Park continued outsmarting his pursuers one after another, eliminating another assassin before finally creating enough distance to escape. However, the moment he pushed open another door, he came face to face with a squad of SWAT officers who had been waiting for him. Before the police could arrest him, Kevin arrived with his remaining gunmen and unleashed another hail of bullets at the officers. Taking advantage of the chaos, Park escaped once again, although one of Kevin's killers continued chasing him relentlessly. Dodging bullets, Park grabbed the assassin and dragged him into an elevator. Inside the elevator, Ron was already waiting. The assassin fell to his death while Park barely survived. Determined to stop Park from escaping with the diamond, Ron picked up a sharp piece of metal and prepared to attack him. Seeing this completely broke Park's heart. Ron was someone he had once treated like a younger brother, yet now he stood before him as an enemy, willing to kill him over nothing more than a diamond. Park was far stronger than Ron. He could have killed him in an instant, but he didn't. Instead, he left Ron behind with the diamond and quietly disguised himself as a SWAT officer to slip out unnoticed. Unfortunately for him, Julie, the undercover police officer who had been following him all along, immediately saw through his disguise. Meanwhile, the SWAT commander finally confronted Kevin and pointed his gun directly at him. But before he could arrest him, one of Kevin's men, who had secretly disguised himself as a police officer, suddenly shot the commander dead. Elsewhere, Ron tried to flee with the diamond, but Sam spotted him immediately and realized Ron was escaping with the prize. Sam chased after him, but during the pursuit, a passing motorcycle accidentally ran over the diamond, crushing it beneath its tire. Only then did the truth become clear. The diamond Ron had been carrying wasn't real at all. Long before that moment, Sophie had already switched the genuine tear of the sun with the fake replica. To escape unnoticed, Sophie quickly changed her clothes and wrapped herself in nothing but a towel, disguising herself as an innocent victim. When the SWAT officers reached her, they assumed she was just another frightened civilian and carefully escorted her to a medical evacuation van. What none of them realized was that the real tear of the sun was cleverly hidden inside Sophie's hair the entire time. Meanwhile, at the docks, Park finally met Sarah, who had been waiting for him. But just then, Kevin suddenly appeared. Park was forced to hide behind a suitcase for cover. At the same time, the determined undercover officer Julie also arrived at the docks while chasing Park. Amid all the confusion, she managed to capture Sarah. The moment Park saw Sarah in danger, he deliberately stepped out into the open to distract Kevin and save her. Kevin immediately opened fire. Seizing the perfect opportunity, Julie turned her gun toward Kevin and shot him dead. With that single bullet, the reign of Asia's most feared crime boss finally came to an end. Taking advantage of the confusion, Park and Sarah escaped together. As the story reached its emotional conclusion, Sarah finally discovered the legendary stash of gold she had been searching for all these years. Ironically, it had been hidden inside the trunk of her own old car the entire time. The mysterious key Park had given her unlocked the newly installed lock, revealing the fortune that had remained hidden for years. Meanwhile, Sophie traveled to Hong Kong to sell the genuine diamond. Everything seemed to be going perfectly. But just seconds before the deal was completed, the same mysterious old man appeared once again. It was Park. Disguised as the elderly man for one final time, he effortlessly stole the tear of the sun right from under Sophie's nose. With that final masterstroke, Park proved once again that no thief in the world could outsmart him. And with that unforgettable twist, the story comes to an end. So friends, that's the end of this incredible story. Now I want to know what you think. Did you expect Park to outsmart everyone in the end? Or was there another twist that completely shocked you? Let me know your thoughts in the comments because I read every single one of them. If you enjoyed this movie explanation, don't forget to hit the like button. Let's set a target of 2,000 likes on this video. Also, share this video with your friends so they can experience this amazing story too. And if you love watching thrilling movie explanations like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our next blockbuster recap. I'll see you in the next amazing movie explanation. Until then, take care and have an awesome day.